Okay, this is probably gonna be a long one. Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. I've been a long time fan of Sonic, and there's no denying that he's evolved a ton in the past 32 years. From humble beginnings to rocky transitions, Sonic has had some high highs and low lows. One of the lowest of lows Sonic's been in is the 2010s. That's a whole other story on its own, but the point is that Sega wasn't confident in their own mascot due to the massive failure of Sonic 06 and the more unfair failure of Sonic Unleashed. It all culminated into a whole decade of listening to the wrong people when it came to constructive criticism, character assassination, sidelining fan favorite characters, nostalgia pandering, and losing sight of what gameplay elements made the older titles fun in the first place. This game right here is just dollar store New Super Mario Bros. Sonic games used to mean something. The best Sonic games gave people a rush of emotions when playing through it. I for one will never forget the final story of Sonic Adventure 2, but in a lackluster effort to save the franchise, Sega hasn't been doing it right for the past 10 years. One of the last games in the meta era was Sonic Forces, which was a huge disappointment for the fans. It had great advertising, but it ended up being a 6 out of 10 at best, which really stings. It was the fourth game to use the boost style, so the next game would have to shake things up gameplay wise. This is where Sonic Frontiers comes to play. If you watched my Sonic CD video, you'd know that I somewhat praised the game, but if you watch my Spider-Man video, you'd know that I made fun of it a lot. So naturally, you'd wonder what my stance on it is. Short answer, I don't really know. I mean, this game does so many things right, things that they've been getting wrong in the meta era, but at the same time, it's plagued by the same problems we all know and hate. As always, the only way to go into detail is by jumping into the game. Right, Sonic?
Oh, it's you again.
Oh, come on, Sonic. You can't just spend the rest of your life feeling sorry for the past decade. There's a new frontier waiting for you. Now get your butt off the couch and let's go to the Starfall Islands.
Look, that little escapade on Little Planet was just so I could reminisce about the old days.
Whatever. Listen, there's this game that came out a year ago. It's unique and it's full of spectacle. It has Big the Cat. You have to go over there and give it a try.
You just pass me my weed and get the hell out. Wait, did you just say Big the Cat?
You better believe it. So the game opens up with Eggman flying up to some ancient ruins on his Eggmobile, and we see him attempt to take control of the ancient secrets. Suddenly, some monsters appear out of thin air, and Eggman's AI counterpart traps him in the new realm of cyberspace. Eggman attempting to use ancient power only for it to blow up in his face. The Dreamcast era is back, baby! The next cutscene is Sonic on board the Tornado, piloted by Tails. Accompanying them is Amy Rose. We immediately find out that the gang is flying to these mysterious, never-before-seen islands, the Starfall Islands, in search of the Chaos Emeralds and why they were mysteriously drawn here. Suddenly, a wormhole opens up and sucks them in. We get a first glimpse of the gameplay, and it's okay, this isn't actually Green Hill Zone, it's the aforementioned cyberspace, which I'll elaborate on later. After Sonic's 50 billionth romp through cyberspace, Sonic escapes and hears a mysterious voice telling him to search for the Chaos Emeralds to save his friends. This is where the real gameplay starts, and we see exactly what Sonic Team did to deviate from the past. An open world Sonic game, or in their words, Open Zone. Open Zone is definitely a better way to describe what they were going for, even if I still have that hunch of them only saying that to stop the Breath of the Wild ripoff allegations. So yeah, this is an open zoned game. There's plenty of things from previous games like springs and grind rails, only this time it's all in an open environment used to traverse the world the way you want. Kinda what Bowser's Fury did to Super Mario 3D World's playstyle. Honestly, they were cooking with this. It's rough around the edges at times, but I enjoy what they were going for and I hope they build upon this in the next game. This may be an open zoned game, but there's a pretty standard gameplay loop to it. You see, there's tons of weird robots out in the islands. There's the tall, the small, the really tall, the useless, and the breedable. I mean, the really tall ones are called Titans, and they remind me a lot of Neon Genesis Evangelion for some reason. Anyways, Sonic must slay them all in order to rescue his friends. The only problem is, they're about as strong as the average Sonic the Hedgehog final boss, so our little blue asshole has to get the Chaos Emeralds to defeat defeat them, so where are the emeralds? After defeating the smaller robots known as guardians, or mini-bosses, you're granted a gear. These gears are used to unlock cyberspace portals, and completing a level in cyberspace grants you keys. You can use these keys to unlock an emerald vault, and we all know what happens when you collect all 7 of those. So now is a better time than ever to talk about cyberspace, I guess. Oh god. So even if Frontiers is the introduction of a new gameplay formula, it's technically the 5th Boost game. Scattered around the islands are cyberspace portals, and interacting with them lets you play these levels. I guess they're fun sometimes, but for the most part they're dog shit. If anything, the controls here are somehow worse than how they were in Sonic Forces. Sonic feels so stiff and heavy, and the boost is weaker than all 4 Boost games. It works in the open world since it behaves more like a sprint button, but in cyberspace it's just pathetic. Wanna know another shitty thing this part of the game has? It's the level themes. I really don't have a problem with them reusing level themes, but Green Hill, Chemical Plant, and Sky Sanctuary again? I really can't complain that much since they're absent in Sonic Superstars, so it's good that Sonic Team is listening to us, but what the fuck? Oh well, at least the music is good, which is a given for the franchise already. I mean, just listen to these. One last thing before I move on from cyberspace, it doesn't make sense canonically. Later on in the game they explain that cyberspace is where the ancients store their memories, which is why it has these reused level themes. They now pulled from Sonic and Friends' memories. These fuckers have been in more places than the Generations levels. This is why I said I wouldn't mind them reusing level themes. What if they went all in? It would be really cool to see Rail Canyon again, or maybe Kingdom Valley. Hell, reuse assets from Sonic Unleashed. A Dragon Road themed stage would be badass. That was a lot. Well, now that we're out of cyberspace, let's talk about the overworld a little more. Plenty of Sonic games have a non-stop action-y feel from start to finish, but this one definitely feels more serene. Each island has wide and open plains for you to run around with calm, soothing music playing as you do so. With each Chaos Emerald collected, the song adds an instrument to the mix. This kind of shit is my favorite thing ever. I love when they do this. Art direction wise, the islands are beautiful. The ancient ruins scattered throughout, the weird, mysterious, yet free feel. I absolutely love what they were going for. With that said, it needs a lot of work. So remember my open zone talk earlier? Since this is basically Boost Sonic retooled to work in an open world environment, the islands are littered with springs, boost pads, grind rails, just to name a few, and they all kinda look out of place. I think what would really help this game's style is if they made these assets blend in with the environment more. Maybe make the grind rails look more vine-like in Kronos Island or something. Also, I know I literally just praised the art direction, but something about it I'm not really a fan of. I don't know, I just wish it was a little more Sonic-y. Gameplay-wise, the open world is probably the second best thing about this game. Like I said earlier, I hope they expand upon this style in a future title. It has its own fair share of issues, like the atrocious pop-in and overall clunkiness, but I truly believe that this is the next evolution of 3D Sonic, and I'm glad it mostly works. Okay, no more criticisms for a while. I'm gonna talk about some things that this game does amazingly. Ready? Before I get to the best of the best, I should probably mention that this game features one of the most powerful characters in fiction, Big the Cat. In certain cyberspace portals, you're taken to a small lake where you can do fishing mini games with Big. You can catch a variety of stuff here, some weirder than others, but the best thing you can do here is pretty much skip as many of the game as you want. If you play your cards right, you won't set a foot in cyberspace at all. Oh yeah, and also, there's combat in this game. It's the most white bread combat I've ever seen, so there really isn't that much to say. The combat may be lacking in gameplay, but some parts of the game give it the rush and spectacle that this franchise has been missing since the early 2000s. I think we all know where this is going. Only 6 emeralds are accessible in the overworld. The 7th emerald is normally located on the head of the Titans. After getting dangerously close to them and climbing your way up to their head, you get the last one. It wasn't enough for Sonic Team to bring back a good old-fashioned supersonic final boss in this game. They went ahead and gave us 3 of them. Button mashing at the speed of sound against these massive monstrosities, incredible QTEs, and amazing vocal themes. The Titans are easily the best section of gameplay in Sonic Frontiers. Also, can I just talk about this game's presentation for a bit? Like, this game is beautiful. This cutscene animation is some of the best in 10 years. It's still sort of the meta-era stiffness, but you can tell they tried their best to give these characters their character back. I especially enjoyed seeing Sonic's first encounter with a Titan and the little breakdance he does when getting a minigame Chaos Emerald. It's no Generations S rank breakdance, but I'll take it. Though some cutscenes are really unfinished. Some just have the characters stand around and talk while one is literally just PNGs. I mean, Crash Bandicoot 4 and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart are in the same generation as this, and the animation is fucking Pixar quality! Honestly, I blame Sega for dumbing their Sonic games down to Nintendo Switch standards. But let's rewind for a bit and focus on the story. Premise is relatively simple. It's a massive difference from the previous game with its resistance thing, but it works for its benefit. Sonic's friends are trapped in cyberspace, and Sonic has to keep running through it all to set them free. The center characters are just the standard Sega Genesis characters, and it takes the time to focus on them and correct the way they were portrayed in the meta era. Not much to say for Amy's subplot. She just wants to be set free so she can spread her love and care down the road. But once you make it to the second island and find out that Knuckles was transported to the Starfall Islands too, see also the animated prequel, we get to see a side of Knuckles we never got to see before. For one, they actually give a shit about the lore now. Knuckles wants to be set free so he can get back to guarding the Master Emerald again. We haven't seen him acknowledge the Master Emerald since Sonic Adventure 2, but we also see Knuckles envy Sonic's lifestyle. Sonic is free to go wherever he pleases, meanwhile Knuckles stays on Angel Island and guards the Emerald because he feels guilty over the sins of his ancestors. Sonic encourages him to live a little and go out to see the world. People often forget that Knuckles is one of the most tragic characters in the series, and after seeing a decade of him being mischaracterized, it's good to see our boy getting some justice. Tails has some great character analysis thrown into the mix too. But first, some context. Ever since his debut in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Tails has always grown as a character. After being inspired by Sonic's cool and brave personality and saving Sonic's life at the end of that game, he cements his status as an important figure in Sonic's cast of characters. The Dreamcast era saw him grow even more with his independence arc, saving Station Square from being destroyed by Eggman in Sonic Adventure, and attempting to save the world without Sonic at the end of Sonic Adventure 2. Since then, his character has taken sort of a backseat and hasn't progressed past just being Sonic's brave little buddy. But what really pissed everyone off was when they made Tails not so brave. Do I really have to play the clip to illustrate my point? Well anyway, instead of outright ignoring this, Sonic Frontiers takes these blunders and uses them to make Tails a stronger character. In a touching moment, Tails starts to doubt himself, thinking he's been nothing but a burden to Sonic recently. Sonic reminds Tails of his amazing capability and reassures him that it's okay to make mistakes sometimes. That's just part of growing up. Hell, even Eggman has some emotional baggage in this game. He only created Sage as an AI to guide him through the Starfall Islands, but as the game continues, the both of them grow a father-daughter relationship. Eggman starts to feel proud of her during her ongoing mission to fuck with Sonic, and Sage gains human emotions from observing Sonic's interactions with his friends. Man, Sage is cool. I really hope she becomes a mainstay. This cutscene is goofy as hell though. They definitely did the right thing by hiring Ian Flynn to write this one. Each island serves as an introspective on each of Sonic's friends from the Genesis days, giving them growth we haven't seen from them in a while. The main plot does a fine job at getting the message across, but the characters help hammer in that this is a story about acknowledging the past and working for a brighter future. Oh my god, this is the longest script I have ever written. Let's wrap this up and talk about the old final boss. After Chaos Island, Sonic's cyber corruption worsens. Oh fuck, I forgot to mention that. You see, every time Sonic frees his friends from cyber jail, he absorbs the cage's energy as it gives him pain. Ever since the beginning of the game, it's been building up as a problem until Rhea Island. After deactivating the towers and setting the ominous voice free, it materializes itself into an entity known as the End. As it threatens to end the world, Amy, Knuckles, Tails, and Eggman are set free from cyberspace, and Sonic seemingly dies. But with the power of friendship, I guess, Sonic's friends cure him and are sent back to cyberspace. The last island has Sonic do the exact same gameplay loop one more time before fighting the last Titan. Then all the Titans team up with Sonic and Sage to defeat the End. This is technically the first time since Sonic Adventure 2 that we've seen a supersonic fight in space. So, how is it? What is this? Is this Undertale? This is such an embarrassing final boss. I think the last two islands and some cutscenes make it obvious that this game had rushed development even if it was delayed. Oh my god. Who looked at the hacking mini games and said, "Yep, final boss"? So after that embarrassment, Sage Shadow the Hedgehogs herself, but they immediately bring her back to life in a post-credit scene. The gang hop onto the tornado and fly off into the sunset. After all that emotional growth, everything changes for this series. At least I hope so. So that was Sonic Frontiers. I hate this game. It's covered with the awful gunk that ruined 10 years of Sonic's time. But I also really love this game. It gave us what the fans wanted the most. Change. It gave us a new gameplay style. It gave us a story that takes itself seriously and emotional journeys for all the main characters. It acknowledges the shitty past in order to make the future brighter. What, did you think I was done? Sonic Team also added 3 free DLC packs for this game. Update 1 gave us a photo mode, a jukebox with Sonic music of the past, and new modes like a boss rush. Update 2 gave us birthday themed cosmetics, open zone challenges that unlock the spin dash upon completion, and new Coco. Update 3 aimed at giving us new playable characters and a new final boss. I'm just saying, if they can fix the final boss into something like the other Titan fights, this game would go from a 7 out of 10 to like a 9 or a 10. Now, I'm tired and this video is too long already, but I'm just gonna quickly say that updates 1 and 2 are great and add a lot to the game. I love that the jukebox can play Red Mountain while I'm traversing the islands, and the spin dash is just broken as hell, but I don't care. It makes the island traversal more fun. Okay, let's talk about update 3 now. On Oranos Island, there's a ring portal that takes you to the Final Horizon DLC, which opens up a different save file. The gameplay loop this time around is somewhat different, revolving around Sonic going up the same towers from Rhea Island in order to do challenges, while Amy, Knuckles, and Tails go do other things like platforming challenges in order to collect Chaos Emeralds. First off, we all need to give Sonic Team a big round of applause for making Frontiers become the first Sonic game since Sonic 06 where Tails, Knuckles, and Amy are playable. Their movesets borrow from Sonic since they all can boost and homing attack, minus Tails for some reason, but each of them has abilities borrowed from the Genesis and Dreamcast era. Tails can fly and use lots of gadgets, Amy is more floaty and the best controlled character for some reason, and Knuckles can climb certain walls and glide. I think these new characters are a little rough around the edges. Amy is the most polished out of the 3 like I said before, but Tails not being able to homing attack is weird to say the least. But he's the one who's able to fly, so if he could homing attack, I guess he'd be a little too broken. But I think the one who has it the worst is Knuckles. His gliding controls are really stiff and his combat is really weak. It's honestly embarrassing. If I could think of a positive thing about him, it's that climbing feels more satisfying than when Sonic does it. But as broken as some of them are, I think the fun comes out of leveling these characters up as quickly as possible and unlocking more of this island's map. Overall, these characters were integral to the plot, so having them pitch in to save the world makes a lot of sense. I love the platforming they have too. There's no 2D sections at all and it's tough but creative. Speaking of platforming, I have nothing to say about the new cyberspace levels, but the few levels I played are pretty fun. They aren't mandatory anymore and they have a strong focus on things like momentum and the spin dash. Honest to God, all these changes they're making are for the better. Another thing that this update does right is that it makes Sonic interact with the Ancients. Through the base game we learned that the Ancient struggles to find new homes as the End chases after them. They They created the Titans as defensive robots that can be piloted. I knew I was right to compare it to Evangelion. We also learned that they trapped the End in cyberspace before eventually becoming the Coco. Also, I forgot to mention that the Ancients are essentially where the Chaos Emeralds came from in the first place. Oops. But as we know, the End tricks Sonic into destroying the Titans and tearing through cyberspace so it could come back with a vengeance. My point is that after all this, it's nice to see Sonic try to smooth things over with the Ancients. What I could do without is the massive fucking difficulty spike though. Jesus, they made this super hard for no reason. I had to turn the difficulty down just so the platforming could be easier. Yeah, I know, I'm a fake gamer. Especially when you have to play as Sonic and scale those towers, good lord. The game has a problem with difficulty in general. The hardest cyberspace in the base game was fucking 1-2. The campaign ends with a boss rush of the main 3 Titans before proceeding to the new final boss, and Jesus, this is the hardest one yet. You have to beat them all with new save file stats while you only have 400 rings to beat all 3 with. Looping doesn't give you free rings, so you have to do this all flawlessly. It took me a bit, but it was super satisfying to finally beat. Playing through the Titans for the first time is amazing with its spectacle, but doing this harder challenge forces you to get better and better at them, which makes them fun a second time around. The story significance for this challenge is so Sonic can turn his cyber corruption into a new power while his friends search for the Chaos Emeralds. Okay, time to talk about the new final boss. It starts off with the same and pretty lame Supreme boss fight, but after that the End starts puppeteering Supreme and replenishing its health. The objective here is to destroy the cable so you can actually damage it. The new QTEs make Super Sonic 2 feel like the most powerful Sonic form to date, and the music shifts from the game's main theme, I'm Here, to an orchestral version and an entirely new cover that never fails to give me goosebumps. During the second phase, Eggman, Sage, and the others form a shield around Sonic to help defeat Supreme. Eventually, Sonic doesn't hold back on his cyber corruption and uses Supreme's giant rifle to shoot straight through the End, killing it for good. The amount of sheer spectacle this boss has already makes it miles better than the original final boss. Like seriously, who looked at the hacking minigames and thought, yep, wait, I already did that joke. Never mind. This new one is another Titan fight, but with a large sense of finality to it. Currently people think it's pretty hard, but I guess that's just parrying that's the problem here. Also, the game doesn't tell you this, but to aim at the cable easier, just homing attack the head and press L1 or R1 to switch targets. It's bullshit that they never tell you that, but once you know what to do, the final boss is a lot better. The ending is pretty much the same, with Sonic's friends deciding to go out to be the best versions of themselves. But Sage is still alive in this ending, making it a more happy ending where she goes home with Eggman as his new daughter. So, that was Sonic Frontiers. For real this time. Despite being finished now, it's still kind of unfinished and buggy, but I'm glad we got this free DLC when they could have just made the next game better. The game's director, Morio Kishimoto, actually went on Twitter and listened to all the fan complaints and suggestions so he could make this DLC to improve the game. Sonic Team tried their best with what they were given, and this can only mean good things going forward with Sonic. Just like the song goes, we're only at the beginning of this one-way dream. Before the DLC came out, this was alright at best, but now I think this might be one of my favorite Sonic games ever. Thank you, Sonic Team. You know, I'm not really sure if this one is my favorite or not. I mean, recency bias and all. But, like, Now that I think of it, the finale of this one is kind of on par with Sonic Adventure 2's. Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to replay that one. What if I just reviewed all the Sonic games on this channel? That should be fun, revisiting the whole series. Maybe I should probably do an animation Sonic related. Oh, look at this, a rock!
Dang it! Where's the last emerald? Well, I guess 6 is good enough. Hey, Giganto! Nice light show, but you're not the one who's undefeatable here!